1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hey Downtimers, today we're going to look at how to make a sniper base from an Always Save old-fashioned oats 42 ounce container by using the plastic freshness seal. You see the missus here is taking off the freshness seal from the container, and I'm going to take that and finish taking off the outside piece there that secures it to the container. It's a little bit stubborn. After about the mid mark, it gets very difficult to take off typically. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll come all the way off, but if not, just use your knife and take it off and trim it up a little bit better, more uniform with the scissors there. And just keep in mind, you want to take your time. I usually get a little bit impatient with the utility knife and go up a little too high on the ridge there, so you want to try to keep it uniform. And here I'm showing the greenery, the plastic greenery I'm going to use for cover for the sniper base. You want to make sure that the cover that you use, or the foliage if you will, is at least as tall as, if not taller than, the sniper figure you're going to use on the sniper base. You notice the ones I got here real easy to pull off, so that's helpful. And I'm showing my green tea leaves. We're going to use those here in a minute. You can use whatever kind of flock you like to use. And I'm cutting off the stems here of the plastic plant pieces so that it's a little more flush, make a little bit better connection to the plastic base. And here's the fun part. We're going to use hot glue to attach the greenery to the base. Now you notice I've already put a prime coat on the base. You want to do the middle there where the miniature will be, and around the edges a little bit. If you want the flock to be all over the base, including the edge, you don't even have to worry about prime coating with paint on the outside edge. But I like, it's just it's a matter of taste. I like showing the edge a little bit. I don't like having the flock on the edge, so I prime coat the outside as well as the section where the miniature will be standing. So, but try not to get too much paint on the portion where you'll be hot gluing. And you'll notice here a little bit of a struggle. Sometimes I cheat and I use more of a wire type piece from a plastic plant to help hold up the pieces, so I don't have to hold it with my hand quite so much. But here I went without that, and I just, it takes about 10 seconds or so, maybe about 20 seconds for the hot glue to dry to the point where it holds the reeds up. So just keep that in mind. You'll want to take your time with it and put each piece down and hold it for about 10-20 seconds. And it helps if you have a little fan blowing as well to make it dry just a little bit faster, come up to room temperature, or go down to room temperature, sorry. And I actually have the hot glue gun set on a low temperature setting here, because keep in mind this base is plastic, and it's a rather thin plastic, so you want to make sure you don't have too much heat on it. You don't want to warp the base too much. But you notice I'm just going from one side to the other, and it usually works a little bit better like this. Just go, one next to the other, and try your best to keep the hot glue, uniform, and make a kind of a semicircle, and try to keep the wisps to a minimum. And we'll tackle the wisps here in a moment. That's always an issue when you use a hot glue gun. And you can get kind of messy as far as where you place the hot glue and put extra hot glue. And you always want to make sure, well, I do anyway, I always make sure I cover the writing on the base, on the plastic base. I always make sure I cover that with hot glue, just to be sure none of that will show through. And we're going to put flock on it here in a moment anyway, as we're doing right here. So not a big deal if you don't cover all the writing with hot glue. And once this has had a chance to dry, we throw a little bit of half and half PVA on it. Got half water, half PVA in the container here. And then I'm putting green tea leaves down for the flocking. And just keep in mind, it's not a huge deal if you don't get it all in one pass. I usually do 2 or 3 passes, and this is actually half and half here. And you notice it's kind of spotty. It was really giving me a lot of problems, but again, not a huge deal. You're not going to have miniatures standing on this portion. That's why it's not such a big deal, how well you attach it and how uniform it might be. It doesn't need to be flat. It doesn't need to be uniform. It can be very bumpy and lumpy. Because again, the only miniatures that should be standing on this will be the miniature that's in the middle, the sniper. So this is really just for looks and to give it a bit more of a camouflage kind of feel. Yeah, once we have all that set and all that's dry, and actually while that's drying, I get tweezers and I start using those to pull the wisps out of the foliage. And it'll take a good little while to get all the wisps out of there. You don't want any hot glue showing. If you have any sort of reflective or shiny substance showing in the base, it really kind of takes away the whole point of the whole base, right? So you want it to look like, you know, something that a sniper or archer, whatever you like to call them. I call an archer behind cover. We call them snipers in our game. So you want to make sure it looks like they're camouflaged, right? So, and here I am pointing to a little bit of hot glue that I didn't quite cover. You want to make sure all the hot glue is covered. The only exception to this is if you wanted to show puddles, such as if you wanted to use this piece in a swamp area. You want to tap off the excess after it dries, and once you do that, you just want to get an old paintbrush is what I use, just to make sure you have all the flock off of the middle of the base there, so it's nice and flat. And of course you could cover that with foliage as well or flocking as well, but I tend to like to keep them bare. And of course you want to use a matte finish to finish this up. And I'm showing two here. The one on the left is one that I did with Sharpies, so you can actually use Sharpies instead of paint. And here are some shots of the sniper bases on the table. You can use any kind of cover you can dream up for these, such as fortifications, a simple stone wall, a wall from a ruined building, a pile of rocks, so forth and so on, even hay bales. I first started using these as barrier bases for spells. So they certainly can be used for that as well, such as vine. Maybe you have a druid who uses make a vine circle or vine wall or something like that. Circle of fire and so forth and so on. So they definitely can be used for spell barrier bases. But basically this is just scattered terrain for snipers. I like how the base is pretty much already set and there's a nice spot for the miniature already formed. But if you don't have access to these freshness seals, you simply can use the same concept and just make these out of whatever material you can find, such as cardboard or foam. It just makes it a little bit quicker and a little bit easier, and they look, I think, a little bit better since it already has that form to it. But obviously you can use whatever material you can get your hands on in case if you can't get the freshness seals. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you've gotten anything out of it at all, please give us a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys.